Unsolved.
The Zodiac killer case. Sheriff Bill at Lake Berryessa.
I've had 11 years patrolling this lake, and I've seen a lot of people cut up by boat accidents and this, but this is one of the worst things I ever witnessed for no reason at all. Just a hooded man came up with a pistol drawn on him, tied him up, and then told him he had to kill him.
The victims of the hooded man were Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, and the park rangers that night were Sheriff William Bill White and Dennis Land. Cecilia's best friend was Judith Dalton. The owners of the Monticello Resort were Elizabeth and Archie White. The three girls that might have witnessed who the hooded man was were Linda Johnston, Linda Jensen, and Joanne Chase. Help! Help! We've been robbed! We've been stabbed! Brian and Cecilia Shepard yelled for help for 15 to 20 minutes. They could see a fishing boat in the lake, but they couldn't get the person to come over to the side. Fisherman Ronald Henry Fong approached finally. The sun hadn't set, yet Mr. Fong would have been looking directly into the sun, and he saw through his binoculars that Brian was bleeding and his shirt was all bloody. And so he went by motorboat to Monticello Resort, and he talked to the owners there, Archie and Beth White, and they called Lake Berryessa Park headquarters. And the headquarters telephone operator radioed Sheriff Bill and Park Ranger Dennis, and then he drove to the crime scene, where he found Brian Hartnell passed out on the side of the dirt road heading towards the beach. Sheriff Bill, Ronald Fong, and Archie and Beth White took a speedboat and went to the crime scene. Here's an old photograph from 1952 of Archie White with some members of his family and his little boy. Did you know this little boy drowned? His parents weren't paying any attention. They were making cookies when that boy drowned. His name was Jason. Just kidding.
Yeah, when I arrived on the scene at Saturday night around 7:13, found this young girl in on the shoreline here, all stabbed in several places.
When Sheriff Bill arrived at the scene, the sun had set and it was dark, but he could still see. The victim told Sheriff Bill that the suspect had said he wanted their money and car keys. The victim further related that the suspect had said he was an ex-con out of Colorado and was en route to Mexico. The victim reported that the suspect told them he had to tie them up, and after they had been tied, the suspect said, "I'm going to have to stab you." Sheriff Bill advised the female victim told him she could not see the responsible's face as a hood was covering his entire head. She also told Bill that the suspect had on what appeared to be clip-on sunglasses to cover his eyes.
Tied him up, and he still didn't take the money. And the kid said, "The money's in my pocket." He said, "I don't want the money. All I want to do is kill you."
Mr. Archie White reported that upon arrival at the scene, he observed a young female wearing a sweater dress covered with blood, rocking back and forth on her elbows and knees as if in great pain. Mrs. White relayed that she immediately attempted to make the victim more comfortable and tried to calm her down until the ambulance arrived. Mrs. White stated the female victim told her he was a man with a hood. His face was covered. He was wearing black pants. It hurts, it hurts. Mrs. White advised that after the female victim had regained her composure, she told her that the man had asked for money, but didn't take any, and further stated that she had not been sexually attacked. Mrs. White stated the female victim told her the suspect was wearing glasses with dark clip-on sunglasses over the hood and had a black pistol.
At 7:40 p.m., Officer Slate at the Napa Police Department received this call, and the subject stated, I want to report a murder. No, a double murder. They are about 2 miles above park headquarters in Lake Berryessa, and they are driving a Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. And with that, the officer asked, well, where are you now? And he stated, I did it. And with that, the officer could feel that there was nobody on the line. He said, are you there? Are you there? And
the Napa Police Department had issued a radio all-points bulletin reporting that their department had received a phone call from an unknown male with a youthful-sounding voice, possibly in his early 20s, who told the police dispatcher, I want to report a murder. No, a double murder. They are 2 miles north of park headquarters. They were in a white
Volkswagen Karmann Ghia.
Mr. Hartnell stated that the assailant was wearing a black ceremonial-type hood, square on the top, and said he appeared to be heavy-set, weighing 200 to 250 pounds. The victim relayed that the attacker had approached both he and Miss Shepard armed with a gun, but had stabbed them with a long knife. Mr. Hartnell further stated that the gun was in a black holster and the knife was in a sheath. The victim further stated the suspect was wearing dark clothing and that the gun appeared to be an automatic pistol. Mr. Hartnell described the knife as having a black handle and a homemade appearance. Hartnell said that he was wearing an old pair of pleated pants, that he was nervous and shaky and seemed of low class. Brian Hartnell told the police about Judy Dalton, Cecilia's best friend, and they tracked her down and interviewed her that night. And Judy Dalton told them about what they did in the afternoon. Then Miss Dalton stated it was her understanding that Miss Shepard and Mr. Hartnell were planning to go to San Francisco when they left her in St. Helena. Miss Dalton advised she had no knowledge of any plans pertaining to Miss Shepard and Mr. Hartnell going to the Lake Berryessa area. There was no evidence of footprints on the blacktop surface by the telephone used to make the phone call, or tire marks left in the area. Napa Sheriff detectives arrived at the lake at 11:54 p.m. They noticed footprints by the side of Brian Hartnell's vehicle and by the footstool going into the park, and the measurements are provided here. They also noticed unusual tire prints behind Brian Hartnell's vehicle, and the information is provided here. They arrived at a footpath approximately halfway between the scene of the crime at the beach and the victim's vehicle on the road. A brief examination was conducted of the footpath area, and as a result, the officers discovered a footprint on the footpath similar to the footprints found at the scene of the victim's vehicle. The sergeant stated that after finding the footprints, they decided to completely secure the area and make a thorough search at daylight. The crime scene wasn't photographed or analyzed, but Park Ranger Dennis collected up the belongings and took them to park headquarters. And that's where the detective collected one blanket, one pair of men's shoes, one wallet, property of the victim, Hartnell, one pair of sunglasses, playing cards, and numerous strands of white plastic line of various lengths, some appearing to be blood-stained. One of the sheriff deputies drove the victim's car to the maintenance shop at Berryessa Park headquarters, where it was secured inside the shop by Park Ranger Dennis Land. Cecilia Shepard died 2 days after the attack on a Monday, and then she was buried in a local cemetery. On part 2 of this episode, we will look at the witness statements from the 3 girls that were at Lake Berryessa a few hours before the attack. And we will discuss Dr. Clifton Rayfield and his son David's testimony and about what they saw. Well, this ends this part of this episode, and we will discuss more information about this case next weekend. So I'll see you then. Oh yeah, and this video is from the top of Mount Diablo, looking north. Cool, huh? See ya.